Ooses? It's me, Ray Goots, and we're here at Ray Goots' Wrestling Pod, the #1 podcast for all Jey Uso info, and we are big Jey Uso fans. Oos, how you feeling, Oos?
I feel good, man. How you feel, Oos, about the Jey Uso winning the big one, Oos?
It makes me sick. But the angle where he's out there was good. I like that. I saw a little bit of that. I don't. You know what I feel like? I feel like you don't even need to watch Raw. Everything that's remotely good is immediately on Twitter.
Yeah, or YouTube.
Never
They
a
put
case
on
where
YouTube.
there's like,
They put on YouTube too.
yeah, there's never a case where like, hey, this is a really amazing segment, but the only way you can see it is if you like buy Netflix. You
You
know,
know, a lot
so
of I know 2025 has just been like a garbage year, but it's been a really good year so far for wrestling. A lot of cool stuff's been happening in 2025
man,
so far.
man,
Demolition's back, dude. Demolition.
I hope they go to the Hall of Fame, and I want them in the games, and I want a Demolition Ultimate Edition, and I want to Usyk.
Yeah, I think that's
Matching Jey Uso versus Demolition Smash in the video game.
I feel like everything you just said or asked for is going to happen. 100%. Just give it time. It's all going to
I
happen.
love Demolition. I've realized now watching all these old Demolition was better than the Road Warriors. I've always felt that way. It was an unpopular opinion, but that's the way it is, and that's the way it's going to be. Demolition was better. Sorry.
I will say this, before we started rewatching these old pay-per-views, I was not a Demolition fan, but once I started watching it, I totally get it. Do you know Demolition is actually they're like the first wrestlers I kind of really remember ever,
Mm-hmm.
because
They look so different.
when my grandmother, I got into wrestling because of my grandmother, because when I would stay with her, we didn't have cable, and she couldn't really speak English, so she always wanted to watch wrestling because you could easily understand it, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
remember, like, on Saturday morning, she wanted to watch cartoons, and she was like, "No, no, no, watch wrestling. It's better. It's better." And she put on wrestling for me, and she pointed at the Demolition guys, and she says, "Those are the bad guys." Right? Because of how they look. And I distinctly remember, like, the way they look with their fucking colored tongues and everything. And I remember, like, and but I was never a fan of them. But when I was watching these pay-per-views with you, they're good. They're a very good tag team, and I think they're a very important tag team for WWF's history, right?
Yeah, they've been overlooked for too long.
Yeah, so I'm glad they're getting their flowers while they're both still alive. Good for them.
Um,
Not crushed though, unfortunately.
well, come on. There's something else I want to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't remember, but I'll tell you what we have. The main thing to talk about is that this show fucking stunk. We're talking about Slamboree '96
Oh, my
Battle
brother.
Bowl. I, what did you think of this show? This was hard for me to get through, and I used to watch this
Well,
show when I was younger.
the positive is that majority of the matches are real quick watches. They're all real quick. There's so many matches though, and they're all really, really fast. But a lot of these matches are just like, oh man, I feel bad for the people who actually no, because if you're a customer and you pay to be at this show, you did get to see like almost everybody. So I guess if you look at it in that sense, yeah, but the quality of matches you're paying for is garbage. They're garbage quality show
The,
matches.
prob-
Yeah.
the main problem with this show is DDP never gets his title shot. He never
He
gets it.
doesn't?
They just drop it.
Really?
Yeah, so that's what makes this show worse in hindsight. He
Oh,
like
I did not even know that. That's stupid. That makes this show,
he
you're
does
right. That makes this show even worse because that
he
means there's no
doesn't
point of
lose it.
this.
He still technically has a title shot. I wonder if he could cash it in at
Yeah,
WWE. He still has a title shot due to him. He's like they never did an angle where he lost it. They never did an angle where he gave it up. They didn't do an angle where like he just never they just forgot about it and the company went out of business.
oh my gosh. Well, DDP will eventually get his
I mean, he eventually becomes
title.
a two-time, no,
Yeah,
three-time WCW champion. But hey,
but I did not know that. But that makes it even worse. But we'll
bigger
get
waste.
into it. This is where I feel like the crappiness of 1995 pro wrestling is still bleeding into 1996.
It's
Still not.
it's about to change. It's about to
I
change.
hope so, but this is not it. Slamboree, 1996. What goes up must come down hard. Taking place May 19th in 1996 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 7,791 people are in attendance. You're curious about the pay-per-view buys, 155,000 pay-per-view buys, compared to uncensored, the WCW pay-per-view right before this Slamboree, 250. So it's around 100,000 people short
You,
of what it was before.
you want to know why?
Why?
There's no Hulkster, brother.
That's true. Very good point. Yes.
No
Dude,
Hulkamaniacs.
I'm not a Hulk Hogan fan at all, like a big time fan at all, but he is a draw. Like he's a fucking draw, you know? And he is probably, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, I think he's the greatest wrestler of all time.
Anyone who doesn't have that opinion, take away what he's doing now. But anyone who doesn't have that opinion is an idiot. It's
Yeah.
just when you look at the facts, you look at the work rate, you look at when you look at what he's about to do in WCW in 2 months, how he's
Mhm.
about to change the game. I mean, there's no denying. There's no denying.
And
The
and
what
this
he
Yeah, and this is a prime example. Hulk Hogan not on Slamboree 1996. It gets nearly 100,000 pay-per-view buys less because he's not there, right? So yeah, you're right. That's very telling, you know. But anyway, we got Tony Schiavone, Bobby the Brain Heenan, all dressed up for commentary, and we got American Dream. However, he is in red leather. I love that.
I love it. I
He's
love
already
his red
got
leather.
non attacks. He's in
Always
a
got a
red
red leather
leather.
jacket.
Yeah, I love this commentating team. Let's go to our first match. We're gonna just go a whole bunch of lethal lotteries. These are random tag team matches. All right, we got Road Warrior Animal and Booker T versus Road Warrior Hawk. And Lex Luger. Random drawing, by the way. They emphasize that multiple times.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, right. It's like, okay, we have two tag team members facing each other randomly. Okay, it can happen, right? It's always possible, right? Hawk and Booker T, they start the match. They start scuffling in the beginning, but it actually ends up being Animal and Lex Luger starting off the match. Booker T, he tags in. He does a spinneroonie kick that gets a big applause. Yeah. You know what? And this is where it is. This is 1996. The spinneroonie is already over at this point, right?
Mhm.
It's because when he does the spinneroonie and then pops up and he kicks, people go crazy. And this shows WCW's incompetence. They never marketed this at all, really. You
They
know,
did.
like
They did.
not the way WWF did.
Okay, Russo does a bit. When we get there, you'll see.
Oh, okay. All right. Eventually, all four guys they start fighting in the ring, and it spills outside. And then, during this whole match, it's not a long match; it's a short match. But during this match, the whole match, the commentating team constantly goes, "Oh my God, Road Warrior Hawk and Animal, they're on opposite sides. Are we gonna see who's better of the Road Warriors? Oh, they're gonna get in with each other." They keep bringing this up. Anyway, everyone's fighting on the outside. Guess what? It leads to a double count out. That's right, a double count out. LOD, who are on opposite sides, who they're both now ineligible for this battle bowl. They both lost. They get in the ring and they high five each other. And the commentary team goes, they never even locked up. They never even locked up. This is a D. This is a terrible way to start the show. A D.
The problem with this entire show is that the whole concept is you got to work together to get to that world title shot, right? You've got to work together. Seemingly, no one gives a shit about this world title shot because the second they get the fuck over the person they don't like, or if they don't want to hit a person they don't want to hit, they just don't do it. So I guess the world title doesn't mean anything to half these fucking guys. Because
the only people who did was like DDP and his tag team partner. I forgot who it is.
Yeah, like everyone, and also like it's supposed to be random. Like I don't know. It's just it's like if you're gonna do this match, you have to have them hook up, and if they don't want to hook up, then do different matchups. I don't know. It's like it's you advertise that these guys are gonna finally hit each other, and then they don't.
Yeah, you know who did this right? We spoke about this tag team earlier today. Demolition.
Demolition.
Remember? And the Royal Rumble, when they came out like 1 and 2, and they were like, fuck, we got to go at it. And that was the only, in those kind of concepts, will you ever see those two guys hit each other, right? And WWF's like, we're going to capitalize because this is the only time we're going to see these two guys get at each other. And WCW has the same situation here, and they don't even lock up. That's depressing. It's stupid.
I have a feeling they didn't want to hit each other, so they were just like, we're just not going to do it, and so they had to like book around that. It
Oh my
was
god, I would have been so mad if that was the case. Like,
again,
if I was Eric Bischoff, I would be like, I'm gonna bury you two fuckers.
well, they're gone. They're not here after this show. So
Oh, good, fair point. Maybe this is the catalyst. Why?
it's
Let's
a
go to,
disaster. Most
go
of the
ahead.
show is a disaster, and this is just step one.
This is just step one. Let's go to match number 2, which is also the next Lethal Lottery match. It's random drawings, Ray, but guess who got the same pick?
So,
Public Enemy. Public Enemy. They still remain as a tag team in this. I love Public Enemy in this. You know what? Because like when they're coming out, you get a whole bunch of white people in the audience doing the fucking, the wave, and they're so bad at it. It's such a basic move, but they just started so bad at it. Oh, I love it. I love it though. It's adorable. They come out, and then they're gonna be facing the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, with Jimmy Hart versus Kevin Sullivan's arch nemesis, Chris Benoit. Wow, what are the odds that arch enemies get randomly drawn together in a tag team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Chris Benoit starts the match with Rocco Rock. And Rocco Rock is he's great because every time he like beats on people, he starts doing the cabbage patch, right? He stomps on you and he does the cabbage patch. I fucking love that. It's so great. You know who else loved it? Dusty Rhodes. He's like, there you go, doing the little dipsy do. He calls it the dipsy do. You go, do that little dipsy do and stop and ride the belly welly. I was like, oh, this commentary is so fucking great.
Deanna Purrazzo fan.
Yeah, dipsy do belly welly. Benoit, he ain't gonna have any of this fucking nonsense. He hits Rocco Rock with a power bomb, stands over him, and he does the mock cabbage patch. Did you see that part where Chris Benoit did it? And then as soon as he does it, he bends over and he slaps the shit out of Rocco Rock really hard. I love that. They all fight together. Everybody starts fighting. It's a melee again as well. The fight spills outside. Chairs are used. Taskmaster, he's put on a table. And then Benoit, though, he starts beating on Rocco Rock before Rocco can do the dive. And Rocco Rock suplexes Chris Benoit off the apron to the floor. Eventually, both Taskmaster and Chris Benoit are somehow laid out on the table together. Remember, they're the same tag team. And Rocco Rock does this in the ring. He does this somersault over the top ropes onto Grunge, who's standing on the apron. So he does a somersault onto Grunge, and they both fall on top of Chris Benoit through the table. And American Dream calls this move the Big Papa. That's what it's called, the Big Papa, when they do that.
Biggie Smalls in the house.
Yeah, Biggie Smalls. That's 1996. Yes, prime Biggie Smalls. Taskmaster he was able to move out of the way, and he avoided the Big Papa. And he just he's like, oh, my leg. And he just walks out of the match. And then Rocco Rock, he pins Chris Benoit to win this match. Taskmaster, he wants to go back, but Jimmy Hart's like holding him back. No, don't go back to the ring. This match is over, and this match sucked. It did suck. It was a C- in my opinion. What did you think?
Yeah, not a good match. Again, like, I understand that these people don't like each other, Benoit and Sullivan in the storyline, right? But
Yes.
it's just like that they don't even put any effort into working together. It just it would have been nice if these pairings were picked a while ago, and then like these guys like, no, we're gonna have to work together to get to the title shot. It's just the same story. But like in reality, there really is no real reason to work together on this. Like, just beat the shit out of your friend and let the other team or your partner. It's just another bad match. However, there is some weird stuff to report that is connected to this match.
Yes.
Benoit was close with the Public Enemy. In fact, one of them, I think it was Rocco Rock, was his neighbor. And when him and Nancy would have fights, he would come and cool them down. And he died a few weeks before Benoit murders her, and he really took that death hard. So another connection to the brutal murders of Nancy and Daniel Benoit here in the match.
I did not know that about them, that they were neighbors and that Rocco Rock would go and cool them off.
It's
That's
one. It was one of them. I'm thinking Rock or Rock. I don't. It's either him or Johnny Grunge. So, but
yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately both Public Enemy are dead. That's unfortunate.
yeah. But the one, yeah, he would go. He was he was close with them. It's always funny. I think this is like Dave Meltzer disease because whenever I find out like a good worker is friends with a bad worker, I'm like, really? And I'm like, oh yeah, Dave Meltzer, because Dave Meltzer equates bad worker with bad person. I mean, you know
Oh
that,
yeah.
right? Like he
Yeah.
beat that into our heads. If you're not good at wrestling, you're obviously like a child molester.
But
Um,
it's like it doesn't matter. It's like saying I'm only friends with good comedians. I'm not gonna be friends with bad comedians. No, I'm friends with like whoever's cool, you know? In fact, some of the best comedians are the biggest assholes. You know,
yeah.
I don't want to be friends with them. Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's
a
so
whole other
funny.
conversation. But yeah, yeah. So he was friends with these guys, both of them. So yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say they were bad wrestlers though, because I mean they're a very important tag team, in my opinion.
Listen, they have a role. This is the problem with
Yes, they
AEW.
have a role. Hmm.
They have a role.
Yeah,
Undertaker said this when he started. Undertaker could do all the crazy fucking moves. But if he suddenly breaks the Deadman character and starts doing like fucking, like fucking Penta's moveset in 1991, it kills the character. That's not what
it
the
kills
assignment is.
exactly kills the aura. Hmm.
That Orange Cassidy was one of them.
Hmm. We're gonna go to match number 3, Lethal Lottery match. Another random tag team match. We got Sergeant Craig Pittman with a very fat Theodore Long as manager. Oof, man, I was like, wow, he's round. Like, and his tag team partner Scott Steiner versus the Booty Man coming out with the Booty Babe Kimberly Page and Rick Steiner. Oh my gosh, another tag team that was randomly picked to face each other, just like Legion of Doom. How is this possible?
Fuck out.
The Booty Man and Pittman, they start the match, but then Scott tags in and he hits some fast paced moves, and then he just tags back out. Rick tags in and he hits some fast paced moves, hard hitting moves, and then Craig Pillman hits a high German suplex, and Rick basically like lands on his head. And Rick Steiner, it looked bad, but he's fine. He gets up and he returns he gives him some receives some hard hits of his own, and then Scott Steiner hesitantly tags in. So that's right. Unlike the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors match, both Steiners are now in the ring facing off with each other. The fans are going nuts. Commentary team is going nuts. And the action between these two, it's kind of slow. Eventually, though, it leads to a few hard hits. And then Scott Steiner hits exploder suplex on Rick Steiner off the second buckle. But then Big Booty, the Booty Man, he tags in. So that's the end of these two brothers fighting against each other. Scott Steiner and Craig Pittman, they work together really well, and Sarge gets the cold red submission move on Rick Steiner on Scott Steiner, but then Rick tags in and he Germans what do you call it, Craig Pittman with a bridge to win the match. It's not. I don't know why. It's just not like a good match to me. It's just like an average match. I gave it a C plus because even when the Steiners got in there, they didn't really do much against each other. What did you think?
I mean, at this point on the show, it's the best match on the show because they actually deliver on seeing two people wrestle that you wouldn't see wrestle, and I thought that little interaction was fun.
That's
But
true, and yeah,
other than that, it is what it is. I mean, there's nothing that great about it.
um, the Booty Babe did have hard nips, so I went from a C to a C plus because of that. So we did get a close up of that. That's kind of nice.
Well, thank God she had her hard nips out. So
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
notice that actually. I was too busy watching the man-on-man action like a real wrestling fan. But okay.
No. They do it at the end. They showed you like she's cheering at the end, and it's like, whoa, that little nice bonus.
Yeah,
Let's
so
go to match.
like,
Yep.
dude, there's not a lot to say about these tag matches. They're all fucking horrible. But it
Yeah.
was nice to see Rick and Scott go at it for a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we want to see in these kind of things. Absolutely, yeah. We're going to match number 4, another Lethal Ladder tag team match. William Regal and Dave Taylor of the Blue Bloods, they come out with Jeeves. Now, this is the one where actually they do explain why they're together. Originally, William Regal's random tag team partner was his arch nemesis, Fit Finley, another arch nemesis random drawing. But
Mm-hmm.
they booted our Fit Finley out and they got Dave Taylor in instead. And they're going to be facing Jim Duggan versus his arch nemesis, VK Wall Street, former IRS. Duggan, he almost hits. When he's coming out, he got a 2x4, and he almost like hits Regal's with his fingers with the 2x4, and Regal he makes the funniest faces before this match begins. It's so funny. There's man, who was it? Somebody did a interview recently where they said William Regal is one of the best comedic wrestlers of all time, and I agree. We don't
Yeah,
really think that about Regal, but he really is. He's like up there with like Santino. He's up there with like
he's got good comedic timing.
yeah, yeah. I forgot who did that. Who said talked about that, but yeah, I agree. He is really funny. Danhausen. Danhausen's the one who said that.
Okay.
So Jim Duggan and Regal, they start the match, and after a few tags, Duggan and Wall Street, they start arguing with each other because they're enemies, right?
These guys, none of these teams even work together for like 30 seconds. They like go
Yeah,
right.
you're right,
It's
they do.
the same match over and over.
Yeah, they start arguing, and at the end, near the end of the match, Wall Street starts distracting the referee. Even now, here's where they do start working together. They start. These guys are a tag team, but even though they hate each other, they start working together. Wall Street starts distracting the referee as Jim Duggan tapes up his fist, which is illegal, I guess. And he tapes up his fist and he knocks out Dave Taylor to win the match. Afterwards, the referee he holds up Jim Duggan's hand as like when you win, but his fucking hand has that tape all dangling. So there's clearly evidence that he taped up his hand. It's hanging right there, but the referee doesn't care. Nobody cares. What's the point of this? I gave it a C.
Um, it's the same match. It's the
Same.
same match over and over. It's like, could you have like you know what they should have done? They should have done like one match where it's Benoit and Eddie versus like Arn and Sullivan, and all four people working together, and you put on a really fun, like nice long match. But you just do the same match over and over and over again, and it's boring. There's no intrigue because everyone follows the same pattern. They immediately turn on one another. They immediately just turn on one another. So what is the intrigue?
I think if you did that though, you would just really expose all the other matches, right?
I mean, like people are paying money and they're just getting the same thing over and over again for three
Yeah, well,
hours.
I agree. I would have felt like I said, I felt bad for the people who paid to see this, but I was like, maybe the payoff is you get to see almost everybody. Maybe
You
that's
know
the
what?
payoff. You think?
You know who I think could do this better is Triple H. Because I think instead of having a battle royal, it's a tag tournament, and at the end you both get world title shots because one gets the royal. So like if Seth Rollins and CM Punk are a tag team, if they win the tournament, they both get a title shot. So it's like there's more incentive to work together.
Yeah, you could do it. It would make more sense now. You're right. If they in current WWF setting, WWE setting, you could totally do that. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So let's go to Lethal Lottery match number 5. Dick Slater coming out with Ray's favorite manager, Colonel Rob Parker, teaming with Earl Robert Eaton, um, who comes out with Jeeves versus Alex Wright and Disco Inferno. The two, what a great random drawing. 2 dancers in one tag team. That's
The
fantastic.
Boogie Nights, they actually become the Boogie Nights.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Dick Slater and Disco, they start the match, and Alex Wright tags in quickly, and then Disco tags in, and Disco starts cleaning up in the ring, but he gets no reaction. Disco starts doing his dancing though in the ring because he's doing so well, and then Slater just hits Disco with the boot, the back of the head to win the match. Jeeves gives Colonel Rob Parker a cigar at the end because of their victory. C, very average match.
They were talking about people in hindsight, like, it's unbelievable. Nash and Hall had the whole WCW, like they're holding off the whole WCW at the beginning of the angle before Hogan shows up, right? And you watch a show like this, and you're like, oh, actually, it's very believable. Like we had moved past, like Dick Slater. He reminds me of Jeff Jarrett now. And oh, by the way, they've kind of written off Jeff Jarrett. He wasn't on this week's Dynamite, and I saw some clips from Dynamite. It looked like such a better show. But Dick Slater is like, you don't need you. This guy doesn't need to be featured anymore in 1996. It's over. It was never there to begin with, but it's over now. And thank God Hall and Ash kind of like chase a lot of these guys out, man. Because woo.
Wait, so Jeff Jarrett, they're not gonna. They just took him off TV already. They're not gonna finish this MJF story.
Maybe down the road, but they had MJF and Hangman start their feud, which is that's where the money is, I think.
Oh my gosh, they dropped it like DDP's world title shot. Oh my god.
I mean, but they should drop it. There's no reason to do that storyline.
You know what? That's what they said in 1996. It's wrong then. It's wrong now. Okay.
But he didn't win the title shot of Jim Fury. He's just trying to get. He failed, so
Speaking of DDP, he's in this next match number 6 for Lethal Lottery. DDP and his tag team partner Barbarian versus Hugh Morris and Meng, who is Barbarian's tag team. Oh no, another tag team randomly put up against each other.
random.
What are the odds? How many times has this happened? Like 3-4 times already.
They didn't hold off on one tag partners to meet in the finale, or they did this all in the first round, man. They did this all in the first round.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. So DDP, I like it. He begins the match by eye poking Hugh Morris, and then Hugh Morris though fights back. He does a slingshot plancha and then just lands real hard, flat, missing DDP. So good, devastating bump. The Faces of Fear, they tag in, and Meng starts chopping Barbarian away, and then Barbarian takes down Meng with a kick. Hugh Morris tags back in, and he does a top rope elbow drop as DDP hits the ropes. So the way it looks like is this. Hugh Morris goes up on the top ropes, and DDP is like watching him, and then like DDP, he goes and like Hugh Morris jumps off, and then DDP like hits the ropes really hard, and then it doesn't affect Hugh Morris because he already jumped off, right? So Hugh Morris hits his elbow drop, but he doesn't go for the cover, and he goes, "I'm gonna do it again." So he goes back up to the same corner to do the elbow drop. But this time, DDP hits his mark, hits the ropes, which causes Hugh Morris to like stumble and fall down, crotching himself on the ropes. Barbarian gets back up, and then he goes up to the top rope. They struggle a lot with the footing, but Barbarian ends up belly to belly suplexing Hugh Morris off the top of the turnbuckle. And however, Meng breaks up the cover. Hugh Morris hits his moonsault on Barbarian, and DDP breaks it up. And afterwards, there's a melee, and everybody's in the ring. And both Faces of Fear members, Meng and Barbarian, they both hit their big kicks on their opposing members, and they both make the same cover at the same time. However, the referee gives the win to Barbarian and DDP because DDP, while he was getting covered, he had his foot outside the rope, so that doesn't count. So that made sense a lot. This was the best match so far. I give this a B.
What about you? I guess I don't know. It was a match that was happening in front of my eyes, and yeah, I guess
the ending was good. The ending was good.
The ending was clever. I'll give it that.
Yes. Yeah, and you had a tag team, Meng and Barbarian, who did face off and hit each other a couple of times, and you had DDP and Barbarian working well together as a tag team. So I thought this was good. We're gonna go to match number 7, another Lethal Lottery. We get Big Bubba and Stevie Ray versus Fire and Ice, which is I'm sorry?
Scott Norton and Ice Train.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I don't know what I wrote here. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Bubba Rogers, he tags in, and this is how big everybody is in this match. Okay, we got you got Scott Norton in there. You got Fire and Ice. This is Scott Norton and Ice Train. You got Stevie Ray from Harlem Heat, and you
Mhm.
got Big Bubba Rogers, which is Big Boss Man. Boss Man's a big guy, but he's the smallest one in this match. That's how big everybody
That's
else
the
is,
point.
right? It's
Mhm.
crazy. Anyways, Ice Train, he does like a sit out splash on Bubba Rogers that pops the commentary team. He just fucking sits right down on him hard. Bubba bumps heads with Stevie Ray, and then Fire and Ice, they do a double shoulder block on Bubba to win this match. Um, I give this a C. It's an average match. What did you think?
It's just there. It's just four guys who were never that good, and we gotta. There's so many matches on the show, and there's so many like matches you wouldn't even want to watch on like the C show, let alone pay per view. I can't believe they put some of these matches on pay per view, man. I can't
Yeah,
believe it. The
so
amount of
many.
time they have and the garbage they're giving you.
You know what's funny is after this, Tony Schiavone, he goes, two of the three tag teams in this tournament are still intact. And then he pauses for a long time and he goes, after the random drawings. Because he realizes what he's saying sounds really stupid. That, like, hey, we had three intact tag teams in this tournament from the random drawings that we had. Yeah, it's really stupid. It's really stupid.
Oh, horrible.
Anyways, it's almost over. We're gonna go to match number 8, the last of the Lethal Lottery. Arn Anderson and Eddie Guerrero versus supposed to be Ric Flair. His music hits, but Ric Flair doesn't come out. And of course, his tag team partner, his arch nemesis, Macho Man. Another random drawing comes out. He gets in the ring. But as Macho Man gets in the ring, Ric Flair comes out and he just starts attacking Macho Man, his tag team partner. And then Eddie and Ric Flair, they get into it, and Flair is just bumping for Eddie Guerrero. Miss Elizabeth and Woman, the Whores, they come out as Ric Flair eye pokes Eddie Guerrero, and then elbow drop. This Ric Flair was great in this match. I'll tell you why. He's fantastic. This is, like, I know he's a shitty person, but he's a really good wrestler.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, he's amazing.
Yeah, he sees something in Eddie Guerrero all the way back in 1996, and he wants to put Eddie Guerrero over. So what does he do? He is just bumping for all of Eddie's moves, and he goes, in order to get an advantage on Eddie Guerrero, he has to do an eye poke. That's how much he is. I have to cheat to get an advantage. And then he wants to tag out of there because he can't handle Eddie Guerrero, but he's got to tag his tag team partner who he hates, Macho Man. So you know what he does? He fucking elbow drops Macho Man as a tag. That's brilliant. He's like, I hate you, and I have to tag you in, but I'm gonna hit you while I tag you in. That's awesome. And then he forces Eddie Guerrero to tag in Arn Anderson. He grabs Eddie's arm and he tags in Arn. It's so good. And if Flair eventually tags back in and he beats on Macho Man, and the reason why he tagged in Arn Anderson is because he wants someone to be vicious to his enemy, Macho Man. You know,
Mhm.
um, Flair tags back in and he beats on Macho Man, his own partner. That's right. He starts beating his own partner again. And while he's beating him in the corner, Eddie Guerrero just kind of like walks over to Ric Flair and he taps him on the shoulder. And then, like, when Flair turns around to look, Eddie just eye pokes him. And Flair's like, oh, get it! And then Flair flops for Eddie Guerrero. The crowd loves this. I love this. This is the best Lethal Lottery match so far. Arn Anderson, though, he DDTs Eddie Guerrero, his own tag team partner, and then he rams Macho Man into the rail and into the ring post on the outside as Ric Flair covers Eddie Guerrero to win this match. After this match is over, Ric Flair, he carries Miss Elizabeth over to a fallen Macho Man so that she can slap him in the face. And then Arn Anderson, to add insult to injury, goes and just gives him one more DDT. The Macho Man's insulted, just laid out. And then Ric Flair somehow, so I don't know how this happened. He ended up getting a bouquet of flowers from somewhere. I don't know where he just comes out with a bouquet of flowers. And then he gives it to the women. Oh man, it's a shame that this match is so short. This is a B plus. I have to give it a B because it's so short. I love this match. What did you think?
Would have stood out more for me if they didn't do like a bunch of matches like this already. But yeah, it was good. Ric Flair understands the assignment. Ric Flair is the star. It would have been really fun if Ric Flair and Macho Man made it to the Battle Royal on this thing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Macho Man gets the world title shot instead of just wasting it on DDP. You're telling me the June pay-per-view wouldn't have benefited from the Giant versus Macho Man? Come on.
Yeah, if you did this thing this whole time, Ric Flair's being a thorn in Macho Man's side, yet he's still able to win the whole thing. Yeah, it would have been a great story. You're absolutely right. They wasted it. Uh but anyways, Tony Schiavone, he does tell us, hey, one of the tag teams that we just saw is gonna get a bye for the next round because the first match, it sucked real bad. It ended in double disqualification, a double count out. So what do you call it? So that's that. And then the Steiners and Sting, they do a Steiners and Sting are in a Great American Bash promo skit about the summertime barbecue and stuff. That was kind of fun. I like that. Did you like that?
Yeah, it's kind of cheesy. I don't know if they did
I
this
like
purpose.
those cheesy promo things. I like it when
You
you
know
do that.
what it is? You know what it is? And I don't know. I don't think they did this on purpose. But the fact that so much of WCW is cheesy right now, I'm talking about May and June of '90s, like this happy-go-lucky wrestling company.
Yeah.
It means more when Hall and Nash show up. It means more.
Yeah.
There's these silly promos, and Sting and the Steiners are like having they're having like burgers, and like they're like, yeah, it's WCW, and then here comes fucking the Hall and Nash, and it's like there's no more fun and games.
It's like when the Fonz is in Happy Days. Because everybody's so like honky dory and just gosh gee, and then you get this fucking this dude who's just like a normal. If you think about it now, Fonz is just like a normal dude. But
And
because everyone's so like that, he stands out way more. Yeah.
yeah, so kind of, and I don't know if they probably didn't realize that they were doing it, but like when Hall, because I think Hall shows up the next night. When he shows up, it's like it's just such a different tone that you're like, what's going on? Like, what's going on here? You know?
So after this, we got Mean Gene. He's with three Hooter girls, and the horny Mean Gene gimmick is back. He's
This
all
is
over the place.
this was so bad. This is like a little bit of Mean Gene goes a long way right now.
Yeah. And he's like, ladies, pick the what do you call it? The tag team who gets a bye, and they pick Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice get the bye. And then they make the next pick, and it's gonna be Dick Slater and Bobby Eaton versus Jim Duggan and VK Wall Street, the first of the second round. But before we get to the second rounds, we're gonna go to match number 9, which is a cruiserweight match. We got Brad Armstrong versus the cruiserweight champion Dean Malenko. This is the first cruiserweight title match in a WCW pay-per-view. Okay.
Yes.
Brad Armstrong, he has the edge on Dean Malenko early, so Dean has to take a powder. But then Dean comes back in and he just takes over with a lot of mat work, just technical work rate, mat work. He works Brad's left knee, and then we see during this they show you the WCW Spanish announce team, and they say it's broadcast in Mexico as well. Brad Armstrong, he fights back to a lukewarm response from the crowd, and he puts on the clover leaf, but Dean Malenko, he gets the ropes and gets out of it. Then Dean Malenko gets Brad Armstrong, and they go up to the second turnbuckle, and he does a second turnbuckle gut buster on the knee to win the match. Good match. I gave it a B. What did you think?
Good, but not great. I mean, the cruiserweight division is about to go into overdrive. Next month is the debut of Rey Mysterio in WCW, and
WCW.
things are about to really change. So it's good. It's not great. It is, however, a nice change of pace to be out of the fucking tag tournament for even just for a minute.
Yeah, you know what doesn't make this great is because Brad Armstrong is just like not over. Like nobody cares.
No,
He's a good wrestler, but just nobody cares about him.
but also he's not the new school. He's not the new era, which Ultimo Dragon, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, Dean Malenko representing. He's not the new style. He's still
True.
old Southern style. So it's like It's not. There's a radical shift when you get to Rey Mysterio's psychosis at Bash in the Beach '96. It's a radical shift from what everyone else is doing, and it fucking works. So
Yeah. All right, we got Mean Gene. Horny Mean Gene's back. He's in the back. He's with the three Hooter girls, and he just can't get the names right. He's just mixing up their names. He's so horny. Um. Anyways, these three broads, they pick Public Enemy versus Randy Savage and Ric Flair for the next match. But Mean Gene has doubts that match is actually going to happen. And then they have then they pick DDP and Barbarian versus the Booty Man and Scott Steiner. Let's go to
Rick
match
Steiner.
number what?
Rick Steiner, baby.
Rick Steiner. I apologize. Rick Steiner. We're gonna go to match number 10, which is a second round match. Dick Slater and Bobby Eaton with Colonel Ron Parker versus Jim Duggan and VK Wall Street. This is actually the first second round match. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Duggan and Wall Street, they just start fighting each other. The storyline's not over. They're just fighting each other. So Slater and Eaton, because they're stupid and not just letting these guys beat each other up, they go, let's just sneak attack them. So they sneak attack them. And then we just start getting into a regular match with Dick Slater and Wall Street starting the match. See, I would have just let these two guys fight and just beat each other up. Wouldn't you have? If like Jim Duggan and Wall Street are supposed to be tag team partners and they're just beating each other up, wouldn't you just let them beat each other up? That's just stupid.
Yeah, dude. But I mean, WCW is just garbage at this point. I mean, like this show is like at this point when I watch this show, I'm like it's a wrap. Like there's nothing that can redeem this show now. It's over. It's over.
So Bobby Eaton, he's in the wrong corner, and Wall Street nails Jim Duggan by accident as Bobby Eaton ducks. Jim Duggan doesn't know that it's by accident, and he gets mad, and so he just punches Wall Street back. And as Wall Street gets punched and he falls back, Bobby Eaton rolls up Wall Street to win this match. After the match is over, Jim Duggan and Wall Street, they fight some more. This match, I give it a C-. It's, you know what it is? All four of these guys, Dick Slater, Bobby Eaton, Jim Duggan, Wall Street, they're all four guys that are way past their prime at this point. They're just past their prime at this point. They're all kind of slow. Even Eaton's like kind of like, he doesn't have it anymore, you know, at this point, unfortunately.
He's no longer Eaton. Yeah, no, this was a. I wish I had more to say, Andrew Lee, bro, but
that's all right.
This whole show is just a miss. Let's just get through it and let's get to something better, which is Beware of Dog. So,
unfortunately, we're gonna have to get to the worst match of the night. Second round match: Public Enemy versus Macho Man. Ric Flair. Macho Man's music plays. No Macho Man. Ric Flair comes out with Women and Liz, and they start throwing Macho Man's money to the crowd. And if you look, though, it's mostly just dollar bills, just $1 bills. I was like, Randy Savage runs down and he attacks Ric Flair. The American males, you know, what do you call Bagwell and Riggs and Craig Pittman, they run down to hold Macho Man back. Eddie Guerrero jumps into and he's like, hold him back. Public Enemy wins, I guess, by count out. I gave this an F. This is a waste of time, waste of talent. What did you think?
You do that whole big first match, and then you just like kill the story the second match. And it's like then why not just have Arn and Eddie win?
Correct.
It's so poorly thought out, this show. When you get to the battle royal at the end, you're like, why would I want to see any of these guys fight the Giant?
True. We're almost there. Let's go to the last of the second rounds. We got DDP and Barbarian versus the Booty Man coming out with the Booty Babe and Steiner. We have DDP and Booty Man. They start the match, and then DDP gets sent outside, and he rolls around. DDP's so good, though. He actually is really talented. He gets sent outside, and he like rolls onto the cable cords, and he gets tangled up. And then Barbarian and Steiner, they go at it for a while, and then Barbarian, he pins Booty Man after DDP does like a cheap shot elbow on the Booty Man. C-. It's just, you know, basic.
DDP yeah. I mean, at least it was a regular match, unlike the other ones. But yeah.
And you know what? DDP and Barbarian, they're actually working as a team. You know.
Well, yeah, now they have a goal, which is why they eventually win the tournament. Yeah.
Hmm. Let's go to match number 13. In this match, Mike Tenay has to join them for commentary because it is for the U.S. title belt. It's very international. We get Jushin Liger coming out with Ray Goose's second favorite manager, Sonny Ono, versus the U.S. champion Conan, who's got like the ugliest lucha mask ever. It just doesn't fit. Conan has the letter K cut into his hair in multiple places, and Mike
Mhm.
Tenay tries to explain why he has K's cut into his hair, and Bobby the Brain Heenan's like, I don't care. And then Mike Tenay keeps going, and he goes, "I told you, I don't care." Right? That part was funny. He goes, "I told you, I don't care."
I
But
don't.
Tony Schiavone goes, "Come on, let him finish. Let him explain." And he goes, "Oh, Conan, he's currently on a TV show in Mexico where he's playing a rapper. That's why he has those K's cut in his hair." As this match is starting, Conan gets sent outside, and then Sonny Ono kicks Conan while he's outside. Liger slingshot planchas on, but Conan doesn't really base for him well, and it's a nasty fall. Mike Tenay notes that both Conan and Liger are represented on TV shows in their respective countries, which is true. Liger's got a cartoon during this time, and because he's based on a cartoon character, and Conan's on a Mexican TV show playing a rapper. Interesting, right?
Oh, I'm at the edge of my seat with this match.
Mike Tenay, he says Liger actually idolized Ric Flair a lot, and has he has an IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship record, kind of like just like Ric Flair, and just like Ric Flair, he has his own version of the Four Horsemen in New Japan, just like Ric Flair. It's amazing. And they were like, "Wow,
Yeah,
really? This guy?"
he cheated on his wife multiple times.
Yeah. They do some mat work submissions till they do like they trade the 100 hand slap, that sumo 100 hand slap, and then Liger does a capo kick, superplex and a splash by Liger for a 2 count. Liger tries to dive outside, but Conan kicks him when he goes outside. Liger fights back till Conan hits an Alabama slam for a very close 2 count. Conan hits a power drop, a sit out crucifix, which is a sit out crucifix bomb. That's his finisher at the time to win the match. I get it the beat. It's not a bad match.
Listen, you know me. I love Jushin Liger. You know I'm a Liger head. You know that.
Yeah.
You've heard the rumors.
Yes.
Conan just doesn't have it, bro. He never had it. He never will have it. Well, especially now because he's gonna die soon. Um, Oos, it's almost like a waste of time. I think like, there was like some type of like, how like some comics just decide they're headliners.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Somehow Conan decided he was a good wrestler, and we all bought into it, including W, because they're clearly. I don't know if you noticed, they're clearly giving Conan matches where he gets to like be a good wrestler, but he doesn't have it. He's not it. It's like deciding that I'm trying to think of a good equivalent. It's like deciding that no, that guy's actually good. Phineas Godwin is actually like an amazing technical wrestler, and then booking him like that, and it's like no. And Conan, I just feel like Conan can't keep up with Jushin Thunder Liger. He can't. He's not good. He's
Conan
good on the mic. That was all he had.
Conan is Conan is he's not good. He's not a good wrestler, but
He's a
I
good.
thought I thought Jushin kind of held him to a decent match here, you know?
Yeah.
And
You know
like
what, Conan?
I'm not fooled at all. I know the reason why this match is bearable is because it's like, but that shows how good Liger is, that he could take Conan. Because so far, every match we've seen of Conan, he's just like sloppy and he gets winded really fast. But in this match, he actually he looks, he looks decent, and I think it's all because of Liger. That just
You know
shows you
what
how good Liger is.
Conan is? You know what Conan's like WCW's Road Dog. Like they're the same guy. Like they're really good on the mic. They're really good at promos, but you get them in the ring and they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
True, true. Okay. So after this match, Mean Gene, he is with Ric Flair and his ladies and Arn Anderson. and Ric Flair's cutting a promo, but he has a hard time saying the word synopsis. And then he just crap talks Savage as he starts kissing Liz's arm up and down. And he goes, "Later, we're having a lingerie and PJ party tonight. Mean Gene, because you're a horny bastard, you're invited as well." And then Ric Flair turns his attention to Mongo instead of Macho Man. He goes, "Mongo, you told me to back off. Who are you to tell me to back off? Maybe it's because your wife has you." He starts talking all wrapped up. He starts talking about Mongo's wife. All of a sudden, Mongo, which is actually Steve McMichael, former NFL player, he shows up.
On Nitro.
I'm sorry?
He's just the commentator on Nitro right now. He hasn't wrestled yet.
Yes. He's a former NFL player. He does commentary on Nitro. And he shows up, and Ric Flair gets scared. He hides behind Arn Anderson. And then he goes, "Hey, you know what, Mongo? I challenge you to a tag team match. That's right. You and anybody you want versus me and Arn Anderson." And Steve McMichael goes, "You know what? I knew you were going to say something like that, so I came prepared. Here's my tag team partner." He brings out Kevin Green, NFL player Kevin Green. Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, you're scared, and they back off as Green, who's not a wrestler himself, cuts a pretty decent pro wrestling promo, I thought.
Than a football player. He's much better. I never heard anyone talk about him in terms of football, but everyone in wrestling says how great he was. He's dead, Kevin Green. And he seems like a natural.
Yeah, like the way he just cut like a if you were like, give me a wrestling promo, he just cut one. It was good. It's like he's fired up. It looked good. I'm hyped. That little promo session. It sold me on this future match.
I remember. So that's the big. It's not the main event of the next pay-per-view, but it was a big featured match. Steve McMichael and Kevin Green versus. And I remember somebody told me this, and I was like, "This is how pathetic WCW is. WWF does one football player, and they go, we're going to do two football players." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just, and that thing sucked. And I will say though, the WCW's match, that match next month is pretty good. I like Mongo. Mongo is not a good wrestler, but that's what makes him a good wrestler, if that makes any sense. He owned the fact that he was one of the worst wrestlers to ever live. And I like the way he talks. I like his promo style. I like the fact that he just doesn't make any sense. Everything about Mongo is money. Mongo is money. That's his new catchphrase if he was still around.
Mongo is money. I like that catchphrase. I like that. Is he still alive?
He's very sick.
Okay. Well, I'm glad he's still alive.
Which is nice. So it's good. Yeah. He's a football now. He's a legit legend in football and in wrestling, for that matter.
Yeah, and we gotta get to the meat and potatoes of this pay-per-view, though. The penultimate match, the Battle Royal. That's right, the Battle Royal. Finally, we've reached the Battle Royal. Here are the participants: Scott Norton, Ice Train, Dick Slater.
Something. Blood Runs Cold. The Glacier promo that was in the middle of the show.
There was no Glacier promo.
There was.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, there's a Glacier promo.
No, tell me about it.
Music and it goes blood. They didn't announce that it's Glacier, but it was a vignette for Glacier showing up. It said Blood Runs Cold. It's on there.
Oh, I gotta go. Is it right before the Battle Royal?
It's in the middle of the show.
Oh, I guess I missed that part.
The Peacock or something, but
I'm actually looking forward to seeing all these like crazy characters in WCW, like Glacier and Magnum, Tokyo Magnum, and all those guys. Like Mortis. I'm excited to see Mortis.
We're about to enter the golden age.
So anyway, going back to this. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you can't tell with this pay-per-view, right? Let's be honest. You can't tell with this pay-per-view, but I know 1996, somewhere, I don't know where exactly, but it's going to get better. Like, it's not like going to be, yeah. Okay, I hope so. I hope so. All right, going back to this Battle Royal, here are the participants: Scott Norton, Ice Train, Dirty Dick Slater, Bobby Eaton, both members of Public Enemy, Diamond Dallas Page, and the Barbarian. So this is called,
For a title shot if you tried.
yeah, this is called the Lord of the Ring tournament. By the way, that's the official name of this. It's called the Lord of the Ring tournament.
Here, you get the
That
ring.
has the Lethal Lottery tag team matches for the Battle Bowl Battle Royal. This is too many fucking names and this stupid thing. I'm not making this up, by the way. That's what this is called. This is called the Lord of the Ring tournament. I had to look it up because when they're doing this introduction, Tony Schiavone kept saying Lord of the Ring, Lord of the Ring, and I'm like, what the fuck is this Lord of the Ring? And this whole tournament is called Lord of the Ring, and it's called Lord of the Ring because it has Lethal Lottery tag team matches that culminates to a Battle Bowl Battle Royal. This is so stupid. You know who wrote this? Tony Khan, like a child. Tony Khan wrote this.
You know, Lethal Lockdown is a Lethal Lockdown. Sorry, Lethal Lottery is a Battle Bowl or the Ring. It's all a bad idea. Not even fucking Russo. They never bring it back. Even Russo won't touch it. Russo is like, never mind. It never comes back ever anywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
So Rocco Rock, he starts a match by they're all in the ring. He does this. He just jumps off and does a dive onto Barbarian, who just catches him and then just hugs him for a while. Barbarian big boots DDP, who goes over the top rope, and one foot does hit the floor, but then he bounces back in. Tony Schiavone points out he hit the floor. He hit the floor. Bobby the Brain Heenan's like, no, he didn't. But then, so here's the thing: this is not a Royal Rumble. So both your feet don't have to touch the floor. I think it's just like as long as one does.
I think they should. Yeah, but if DDP's one foot did touch the floor, though. So.
Yeah, he did. One foot did touch the floor, and that's what Tony Schiavone was arguing. His foot touched the floor. He needs to be out. And Bobby's like going, no, he didn't. Anyway, Rocco Rock, he gets thrown out first by Barbarian. Eaton holds Norton up, Scott Norton up for Dick Slater to use his boot on him, but as he's going, Scott Norton ducks out of the way, and Slater hits Bobby Eaton, who gets eliminated second. Colonel Rob Parker looks at Eaton, and he's like, you idiot. Why'd you get eliminated so early? So he starts hitting him with his hat. And Bobby Eaton gets mad at this, and he starts attacking Colonel Rob Parker. Dick Slater is so fucking stupid. He goes over the top rope to the floor to fight Bobby Eaton, and he eliminates himself. Then DDP, he dumps out Scott Norton, and then Ice Train starts power slamming everybody. This is the cool spot in this. He starts power slamming everybody. Then DDP starts diamond cutting everybody. And then because everybody got power slammed and then everybody got diamond cutted, everyone's kind of like knocked out. So DDP, he pins Johnny Grunge, because in this Battle Bowl, you can also pin or submit people too. So he pins Johnny Grunge. Grunge is out. Then he pins Ice Train. Ice Train is out. Then he tries to pin Barbarian, who was his tag team partner the whole time. But Barbarian, he cannot be pinned. He gets out of it, and they start going at it. And Barbarian tombstones DDP, which gets a 2 count. But then DDP gets up, hits a second cutter on Barbarian to win the match. DDP gets so you know what he wins? He wins the AEW Dynamite Diamond ring. This is where he got the idea from. This ring.
This might have been, yes.
Yeah. So DDP gets this ring because he won this. This wasn't a bad battle royal. I gave it a B. It wasn't bad.
It's just such a waste of time, because here's the other thing about this. Besides DDP, no one in this battle royal goes on to do anything in WCW. Like, it's not like they climb up the ladder. This isn't like we're watching a battle royal where it's like 2012 and it's Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and Zack Ryder. Like, these guys go nowhere. And so it's like, it's a waste of time watching it, and you turn out to be correct. And looking back, it's like, why are these the guys in this? Like, it's just I can't. The poor kid who convinced his parents to give him $30 to watch this, and I guarantee you, they said no to the next two, and he missed Bischoff being powerbombed, and he missed Hogan's heel turn, because this poor kid was like, I can't believe I spent my whole allowance on this show, and it's this fucking bad. Like, like, who cares if any of these guys fight the Giant in 1996? Who cares?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Yeah, that is a very good point. If you $30 is a lot of $30 is still a lot of money now. And imagine you talk your parents to paying, all right, fine, and then but you're not. This is it. You're not gonna get. We're not gonna give you another pay per view until next year, and then you miss out on the really good ones. You know, right? Mom, it's Battle Bowl. It's Battle Bowl, Mom. Right? That's probably what it's like. All right. So let's see. After that, Mean Gene Okerlund, he is with he's not horny anymore because he's with the Giant and Jimmy Hart. And Jimmy Hart starts begging, "Oh, please, Lex, change your mind, Lex. Oh, please, Lex, change your mind."
Jimmy
Giant says, Jimmy Hart is terrible. Giant says, I'm the guy who's on top of WCW, not Sting. And he says, if you're going to make any bets, you only bet on me. And then he also threatens DDP too, because DDP, remember, he's getting a title shot. He goes, after Lex, DDP, I'm going to beat you up too. So he threatens DDP. Little does Giant know that match is never going to happen. So let's go to our final match for the WCW World title. Sting, who comes out with Lex Luger, versus the Giant, who comes out, the champion Giant, who comes out with Jimmy Hart. So what's going to happen is Lex Luger is going to be tied together with Jimmy Hart. That's the stipulation in this match, right? So Sting and a Giant, they start running the ropes, and Sting just bounces right off Giant's chest and falls down. And then Sting tries to get up, and he starts hitting Giant, but Giant no-sells Sting's hits. So Sting has to go outside and have to regroup. Sting, however, is faster than the Giant. He's quick. So he gets in the ring, and he's dodging all these hits. He's dodging all the Giant's hits. And then he tries to body slam the Giant, which is a mistake, and the Giant falls right on top of him. This is where the Giant starts the beatdown process, and he starts beating on Sting. He puts on a body vice with his thick legs, and he throws Sting on the aisle. Then Giant in the aisle grabs Sting in a chokehold, and he tries to choke slam Sting onto a nearby table. But Lex Luger, remember, he's tied up with Jimmy Hart. He grabs Jimmy Hart, he throws Jimmy Hart on top of the table so that the Giant, if he wants to choke slam Sting through the table, he's going to have to do it through Jimmy Hart. So Giant has second thoughts, so Lex Luger blocked it. Then Lex Luger, still kind of being Sting's friend, when Sting's on the ropes, he pulls Sting out of harm's way, and Sting is groggy and messed up, but he's not hurt. But when the referee goes check out Sting, Sting automatically just thinks that's the Giant, so he back elbows him. He back elbows the referee, so referee's down. Then Lex Luger gets on the apron. All right, he gets in the apron. The Giant just grabs Lex Luger, and as the Giant has his back turned and he's got his attention focused on Lex Luger, Sting hits the Stinger Splash on Giant, and somehow because he's tied up with Lex Luger, Jimmy Hart is draped up on the top turnbuckle, and Sting hits the buckle, going for Jimmy Hart, but he ends up fucking like just hitting the I guess the ring post. And then he falls down groggy, and he does his signature Sting falling down on your balls, on Giant's balls, where he headbutts you in the balls. I like that part. So, anyways, yeah, Sting he does a top rope splash, gets a 2 count, but Sting gets pushed off the top. He gets, when he's getting pushed out, he gets like shoved off, and he lands on top of the referee. So the referee takes a second ref bump. Then Jimmy Hart and Lex Luger, they're fighting over the microphone on the apron. They're fighting over who has control of the microphone, as Sting starts putting the Scorpion Deathlock on the Giant. And as he turns over, he gets hit with the megaphone by accident, maybe. And then the Giant chokeslams Sting to win the match. After this match is over, the commentary team starts arguing with each other. Was Lex Luger's intentions... was his actions intentional or not? Because why did that happen on the apron? This actually was surprisingly a good match. I gave this a B. This is a fun match to watch. It's fast, it's quick, it made sense. I liked it. Did you like it?
No, I didn't like anything from stuff. I mean, it was okay. It was Jimmy Hart ruins it. The whole intrigue with Jimmy Hart and Luger. I don't know. It kind of ruins it. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't like this show at all. You know,
Hey,
don't
that's
like
fair. I mean, that's fair. Nothing on this show would I say is a must watch. So, it's fine.
this thing. Oh no, it's not. It's not. It's not. Okay, no, actually, it is. This is Sting's final. I think it's singles pay per view match. This is his final singles pay per view match until Starrcade '97.
Wow, that's a long time.
In place. By
That's
the
like
time,
over a year, right?
yeah, a year and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a long time. Yeah.
So like there are big changes ahead. Look, my thing is this is if you're getting into the NWO, I recommend watch it if you watch everything in order, watch this show because the next night when Scott Hall walks out, you can really feel the difference. You need to absorb how harmless and dopey this show is so that Scott Hall's words cut more. And we are the next night is Scott Hall's debut, and everything changes. Everything changes, and I don't care what anyone says. We are still feeling those effects today, almost 30 years later. It's one of the best debuts with Scott Hall ever of all time. One of the best first promos. It makes you believe that Vince sent them, which was their intent, even though they say it's not. It was really good. You want a war? You're gonna get one.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. But yeah, if you're into the NWO, I say watch it. If you want to get absorb, you got to absorb the era. You got to know how cheesy the era is to
That's a
appreciate what All and Ash
that's a
do.
fair point because Scott Hall's debut is a legendary debut, even without knowing how shitty and cheesy WCW is. But I guess if you know also how cheesy it is, it does make it seem even bigger.
It's
I see the point. Yeah.
I watched that Nitro the Nitro next night, and it's just this happy, goofy show. And it's just this dopey show. And then Call comes out, and it's like it becomes a completely different show. A completely different show. It becomes and it's like, what is going to happen next? And the fact that the announcers don't even talk about it for the rest of the show, they just like kind of like, yeah, I guess that happened. Like they're almost like nervous to talk about it. Like it's really well done, man. And the NW, I'm excited. We are about to get into the end. We're in NWO land now, man. This is
Dude,
it.
I hope you're right and that it starts getting better because man, I'm wrestling right now, all these old pay-per-views, they're just I'm ready for something to really start kicking into second gear,
Let's
you
start
know?
that. So let's
Yeah.
go over the next couple weeks. Next week, it's not going to kick off yet. It's in your house. Beware.
You fucking liar.
With the lights going out. But that is an interesting show to talk about. I'm sorry. Remember, they had to redo it 2 days later because of power outage. And that features British Bulldog versus Shawn Michaels in the main event.
Mhm.
In two
Okay.
weeks, Great American Bash 96, Lex Luger versus Giant is the main event. But the three big stories, the two big stories, actually three, there's three big stories of that show. The pay-per-view debut of Rey Mysterio Jr., the in-ring debut of Steve Michael, and the Outsiders attack Eric Bischoff. Then in 3 weeks, King of the Ring 96, the main event of Shawn Michaels with Bridge Bulldog. But the real story is
Mhm.
also 316 being born. And then in 4 weeks,
Mm.
Bash at the Beach 96, the NWO versus
Mm.
TW, and Hulk Hogan turns heel. And the
Oh my
world
gosh.
never recovers.
We've got one more shitty pay-per-view to watch before we get to all these historic pay-per-views in a row, basically.
Three big, the Great American.
Three huge pay-per-views in a row. Wow.
And the thing about Bash at the Beach 96 is not just historic, it also has some really, really good matches. So, like King of the Ring 96 is just historic. The matches stink. But
Mhm.
fucking, if Austin said Whizzle Wazzle when he won, no one would remember this shit. But,
Whizzle Wazzle.
but fucking Bash at the Beach 96, if Hogan didn't turn heel, there's still some really good matches on it. So
Maybe Austin should have been like, it's my world now. It's my world now.
he should have he should have said he should have said I'm the lunatic fringe.
Well, let me ask you this question, Ray. You were not back in 1996. You were not watching, right?
No, no.
Okay, so have you seen these all before or not yet?
Bashed it, but when I got back in, Suncoast had Slamboree 96, Great American Bash 96, Bash at the Beach 96, and Hogwarts. I bought all four. And Bash the Beach 96 was incredible. It's one of my favorite shows ever. So yeah, when I
Okay,
got back into it,
so you've seen these all already. Okay.
yeah. So the next three, I've never really saw Fall Brawl or Halloween Havoc 96, but the next three pay-per-views that WCW does, I'm talking Great American Bash, Bash at the Beach, and Hog Wild. They are everything an alternate to Vince should do. They have big angles. They have incredible matches. It is a real like a textbook example of how to run a company that's not Vince McMahon's, and
Mm,
it's peak WCW. And I love the next three shows. You're gonna love them too.
I am. I'm looking forward to it. All
On
right.
the WCW side, I don't think you're gonna love so much the Eddie, but we'll get to that. Um, all right, guys, that's the show. Thanks for sticking with us. Sorry that I was ready to kill myself talking about this one, but it is what it is. Um, was join us next week for Beware of Dog and Beware of Andrew Lee, but don't beware of Jey Uso. See you later, Us.
See ya.